When you start preparing for FE Electrical and Computer exam, one of the first things that you're going to struggle with is the balance between in-depth studying and covering all exam sections. There's a lot to cover on FE Electrical and Computer exam. It practically tests you on your entire 4 years of undergraduate engineering coursework. You only have 5 hours and 20 minutes on the exam to answer 110 questions, and that roughly translates into 3 minutes per question. And when you're preparing for the FE Electrical and Computer exam, you have to find a perfect balance between the level of depth, the level of detail that you go into for each topic, as well as the speed and efficiency through which you cover all the exam topics. In this video, I'm going to help you strike that balance between in-depth learning and efficiency and speed, while retaining the content and at the same time being able to solve the questions in under 3 minutes per question. So let us get started. The very first advice I'm going to give you is to stay organized during your exam preparation mode. So make sure you download the latest NCEES FE Reference Handbook from ncees.org. You should also have the latest exam specification. It will outline all the exam topics at a high level and also start accumulating exam preparation resources. If you're a recent graduate, a lot of these topics that you see on the exam specification might just be very fresh in your mind. You may also have access to your college textbooks, notes, lecture slides, and so on. And maybe for some of you that would be sufficient. As you probably know, I have authored several books on the topic of FE Electrical and Computer exam preparation. You can find these books on Amazon. They're highly rated, and a lot of students use these books to prepare for the exam. The FE Electrical and Computer exam is not only going to test you on your ability to sort of do plug and chug, equation type of numerical type of problems. You also need to have a solid theoretical foundation. And in fact, the name FE stands for Fundamentals of Engineering. So you need to make sure that you grasp the concepts properly. And one of the best ways to actually learn anything is from first principles. So whenever you approach a new concept, try and break it down into pieces and actively engage with the content. If you're starting with an equation, understand all the variables, all the factors that are involved in the equation, understand the units of measurement, understand the definition of each and every parameter, and how it cross-relates to some of the other topics. As part of your active learning process, once you learn a concept or once you review a concept, make sure that you follow it up with practice problems. In my FE program, after every lecture, I have quizzes, and the quizzes are designed to help you actively recall what you've just learned. And that helps you balance out the theory along with practice. I personally don't recommend students to take a lot of notes because the NCEES FE Reference Handbook will be there on the exam and it contains a lot of formulas. So note taking in some respect is actually a counterproductive exercise because it takes your focus away from learning the content to sort of reiterating and writing and sort of memorizing, which can be a little bit distracting. But I highly advise students to keep track of their weaknesses because you fail this exam because of your weaknesses. So by tracking your weaknesses proactively after every study session, like a journal entry, will help you in real time capture what your weaknesses are. And this can basically become a list of your deficiencies. And the more meticulous you are in tracking your weaknesses, the better you will be able to address them once you've gone through all the exam topics. Within my program, I also have one-page lecture summaries, and students can revisit these lecture summaries at their own leisure for quick reviews, and it takes a little bit of pressure off them because now they can focus on actually learning the content and doing lots and lots of practice. My next advice in terms of finding the balance between the depth and the pace of studying is to hold yourself accountable to a particular schedule. Because if you leave it open-ended, you might end up spending an entire month on one section. And it does happen. For example, if your weakness is circuit analysis and you don't give yourself a specific amount of time, you might find yourself spending an entire month or maybe even longer than a month on just circuit analysis. And circuit analysis, just as an example, is one of many sections on the entire exam. So my FE Electrical and Computer exam preparation course has a progress tracker. It gives you an idea in terms of percentage how much you've completed. And typically I advise my students to try and aim for 10% course completion per week. That basically means that within 2.5 months, they can complete the entire course. And I also do one-on-one onboarding call with every single student and get an idea of what their scenario is. Have they attempted the exam in the past? When they want to take the exam, how many hours they want to put in, and based on that we come up with a customized study plan. So if you're creating your own study plan, I recommend that you give yourself some set boundaries and incorporate all the exam topics within that and hold yourself accountable. Now the next advice might be very trivial or might be very obvious, but it has to do with your working space. I tend to clean up my working space at least once a week, typically on Mondays, and I make sure that everything that I'll be doing that week or that day is neatly organized. Because imagine yourself getting into the study mode, you've carved out 1 to 2 hours of time from your busy schedule, you fire up your computer, you have your books, you have your notepad, and you're missing your calculator. Then you start searching for your calculator, whether it's in your backpack, whether it's in your car, or maybe you forgot it at your office. And that can be very frustrating. So always make sure that the core items that you need to prepare for the exam, your study material, the tools, the pen, the paper, the notebooks, that they're always accessible, at least in the working space. And this will help you reduce the friction and speed up the learning process. As far as the accessibility of the exam preparation resources are concerned, my FE Electrical and Computer Exam Preparation program is accessible across all devices as long as you have the internet. You can watch the lectures while you're on treadmill, during your lunch break at work, you can do the quiz problems even if you have a 15-minute break, and this flexibility allows you to make use of your time effectively. I strongly recommend students to use the PDF version of NCEES FE Reference Handbook. Some of the students print all the copies out. Some of the students like to work with paper all the time, but it can be a little bit counterproductive when it comes to the FE Electrical and Computer exam, because on the day of exam, you will have one screen that's going to be split in two, and the reference handbook will be available to you in the PDF format basically. So if you're not used to using the reference handbook in the electronic format, you might struggle on the exam. And as I mentioned earlier, you only get 3 minutes per question. So speed is the name of the game. On the topic of speed, I'd like to close out by saying that some students, in my opinion, have misconception about what helps them speed up their preparation, speed up their ability to solve questions on the exam, and speed up their understanding. My personal take on it is that the speed at which you're going to be able to solve the question, although it does depend on your familiarity with the calculator, it does depend a little bit on your familiarity with the NCEES FE Reference Handbook, but the single biggest factor that will help you go through the exam preparation speedily, as well as through your actual exam, is your core understanding of the concepts. Because if you have a sound theoretical foundation, you'll be able to look at a question, and right after looking at the question, the wheels will start spinning in your mind, and you'll know exactly how to approach that problem. Compare this with somebody who is really good at calculator, knows everything in the NCEES FE Reference Handbook where things are located, but if a slight curveball is thrown at you and you're not able to interpret the question, then all of your competency with the reference handbook, all of your competency and speed with the calculator will be rendered useless. So in summary, we need to find a balance between depth of studying and the speed of our preparation. And in many ways, focusing on your theoretical understanding throughout your FE Electrical and Computer exam preparation is going to help you understand the concepts deeply and will also eventually help you with the speed. Within my FE Electrical and Computer exam preparation course, I try and balance it out for you. I have multiple lectures where I go through every single concept in detail. In fact, the more difficult the concept is, the more depth I go into. And then you have tons and tons of practice material. If you found this content helpful, I would really appreciate if you could like this video, and feel free to check out my website www.studyforfe.com for FE Electrical and PE Power exam preparation resources. Thank you. If you like this video, then please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comment section of this video below. You can find tons of success stories of my FE Electrical and PE Power students over here. And if you want to learn more about preparation of FE Electrical and Computer exam and the PE Power exam, then check out these playlists over here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video.